Okay, let's add some more components. So we have sign in, and I'm going to create a sign up. So all I need to do on our router is pass in a new object and a path, and this one will be sign up. And we'll define a component called sign up, of course. On top of that, we need to create a file called actual sign up. So inside here, we still need to import it. We haven't made it yet, but I will. So it'll be sign up and sign up. And we'll save that down, and you need to spell it right. Cool. So in our components directory, we'll create a component, sign up.view. So this will be strikingly similar to our sign in, so I'm going to kind of copy it. The big difference will be adding another field for password confirmation, and then just handling that data as the result. So sign up, we'll change it to say sign up, and we'll call sign up here. We'll have an email address, our password, and we duplicated the password here, so we're going to say password confirmation, and confirmation. Okay, and I think aside from that, we can change the text here to say sign up. And then we'll change this to sign in as a result, which will just be the root path. And we need to change our config down here to be sign up. And we notice we passed password confirmation too, so we need to make sure that's here. I don't know if I should have view component. It's just not referencing them here the right way. Usually it highlights these, so not a big deal. What I will do next is make sure we are going to the sign up route. We're going to pass in email, password, and password confirmation. This dot password confirmation. So this refers to this component entirely. So that's where you see all that coming from. And then much like our sign-in controller, we're basically doing the same stuff here. So we're going to do the sign up successful and pass in that same sign-in failed if that's the case. Otherwise, we'll replace and go to records. The same is true for if something went wrong. We can just say something went wrong. You pass whatever errors you want in there. Then if we are signed in, we'll check to sign in. If you're going to sign up route and it checks that you're signed in, it will not let you go to the sign up path, which is pretty groovy. Okay, I think all is well. That's essentially the sign up route. So I think if we go back, and hopefully our app doesn't tell me to go to hell, we can go here and we have our sign up component. So if we go to our console, you can see it in real time. Sign up, router link. Very cool. You can edit those fields if you want. Okay. So I'll go back to sign in and let's add some more. Eventually we will test that everything worked. I just want to get everything set up first before we dive in to doing so. The head scratching stuff. So with signed in, I want to have a basic header on the site too. So I'll actually make a new component called header. It'll be header.view. And in this, going to, at save time, I'm going to copy some HTML over. But I'll do the rest with you. So I've created a header here. I've got a SVG that's a record icon, and then I just called it record store. We're just doing some Flexbox greatness here to make things span the way they should. Some of these things don't exist yet, so I might omit them. I'll leave them there. So basically this is gonna do some checking to see if the user signed in. If it is, it'll display certain links, kind of like we do in our Rails apps, but more JavaScript. I want to have a sign out link too, and that's going to actually be a method we call below. So what I'll do is define that next. So set script, and we need a new line there. So we'll do export default. Okay, and then this one will be called header. We don't need to pass any data here, but we will say created, and we'll do the typical check if the user signed in. All right, then we need some methods. So we'll have one called set error, which is its own method. We pass in the error and any text. So we could say this.error equals error.response and error.response.data and error.response.data.error, or text, which is what we'll pass in. So we'll use that method below in a second. So I'm going to say first signed in. And we'll return local storage signed in, which should be either true or false. And then also sign out. This is going to be what we call when we click sign out here. So this will be its own function, and it's going to be this.http secured.delete sign in. So we're going to the delete route. And then on that response, we'll have a then fat arrow. Open that up, and we'll delete. Local storage, CSRF, and delete local storage dot signed in. So then we'll do this dot router dot replace. We'll go back to the root path, which is our sign in path. So all that, we could say catch error. This dot set error, we're calling this method next. Pass in the errors and cannot sign out. If something goes wrong. I have a feeling my Vue thing's gonna yell at me. No, no, okay. We'll include that in the main app. Because I want it above our main view, I just want it to be a global thing. So we'll go into app.view and include header here. We need to define it as a component below. So you can just say header. Boom. Does it work? Does not. So we probably have errors. Header is not defined. I need to import it. Forgot to do that. So here we can import header from header.view. Looks like I forgot a comma. Here we go. I don't see the header though. Why is that? Maybe because these are here, I might do something like that for now. That would be why. Look at all that. Okay, to save time, I'm gonna just basically port over what I put here because this is already formatted. It's the same stuff. I just suck at indentation. I think this is actually all it is. Let me double check. One, local store. That should be local storage. There we go. So that's our fancy header as its own component. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to see if it errors out if this comes back. Oh, okay. So we're not signed in yet. So assuming if I were, we would see errors with that. Why don't we go ahead and define those components while we're at it? So I'm going to actually create sub-level navigation for those. So I'm going to start with our artists component. I'm going to create its own folder just to keep things organized. And we'll have an artist .vue file. So you could go crazy creating components within components. So say I have all the artists listed here, and then I could have an artist as its own component. Up to you how you want to do that. This is kind of a doozy of a template, so hopefully you're okay with me just going with the flow here. Sorry if this is so long, but I just wanted to be thorough so you guys get the full grasp of how to do this stuff. I feel like a lot of people on YouTube try to just rush through things, and it's simply because they're not interested in the long process of creating that content. It's not to say that I am, but it's more or less that I struggled when I first started learning because I felt I needed to watch entire builds happen before I knew really how to execute something similar. And I feel like that's what I'm trying to do with this channel, is just kind of teach the concepts that I'm wanting to learn, but be thorough about it, you know? Like, take it and go the extra mile, because too many people don't do it, and they just assume too much about the people on the other end that may not know something. I'm probably guilty of that too, so you're probably shaking your head right now. But I'll quit yakking and talk through what I'm doing here. So this is going to be where we add and display artists. So it will be /artists in our URL. The form itself, we could just get rid of the action. We'll do a submit.prevent like we did on the sign in, but we'll do an add artist function. In the form, we're going to have margin bottom 6. In that, we'll have an input. I don't know why I did that. Of class of input. This got a lot of attributes, so I might do something like this. Auto focus, auto complete, off. You can do these things in HTML. Placeholder will be type and artist name, and then we'll have a V model of new artist name. Okay, so with that, that's accessing our model artist and then assigning a new name to it once we submit the form, but we need a button to do so. So I'll say submit here. Value is going to be add artist. And then we're going to pass in some classes. I'm definitely referencing some other codes. I don't think I'm just writing styles this fast, but I mean, sometimes I can, just for the sake of repetitiveness. That's one caveat to Tailwind, is it's kind of repetitive when it comes time to like defining components that are similar. But in that case, usually I extract them into their own component classes. Up to you how you want to do it though. Then we're going to have our list of artists in this case. So what I'll do is a basic list reset and margin top 4 just to give some space. Okay, there we're going to do a for loop in Vue using the li. So we'll do class py4 between each artist, and then we'll do a v4 artist in artists. And then we need to pass a key, a unique identifier for this to work. I mean, it will still work, but Vue will warn you to do so. So we could just pass the artist ID through, and then we'll bind artist to artist. Which lets us hook up the data side of it, which you'll see in a minute. So inside that, I'll do a bunch of logic here. I'm going to need an icon, which I'll source in a second from the old project. So bear with me. I'm going to add icon. I'm going to steal it from this project right here. Okay, so below that we'll have a button with quite a few classes. So BG, transparent, text small. I'm gonna just go from there. Hover, BG blue. This will be our edit button. So hover, text white, text blue, border blue, no underline, font bold, padding Y2, padding X4, margin right 2, and rounded. I'm gonna copy that in a minute for our delete button. For this one, we're gonna do a click event. This is binding a click event to this thing with Vue. So we'll prevent it from doing its default. And then we'll call in a method where we pass in the actual artist. So we know which artist to update or edit in that case. And I'm gonna just do this, but I'm gonna change the colors and text. So this will be delete. And we'll call a different method, of course, too. So we'll remove artist. But same stuff here. So it's going to be, I'll just probably text small just to be thorough. BG red, text red, hover, text white, no underline, font bold. Let's see, PY2, PX4, rounded, border red. Okay, so we're almost there. But if we update it, like if we edit the artist, I actually want to show something else that isn't already in the form in that view. So it won't be present until you click edit. So what we can do there is say, do a vif. Just do a div there, vif artist. This is where we're using this is equal to, let's do double edited artist. We have to define this still, and I need to remove that. Then we could do this logic. So this will be hidden until we do an edit action. So we'll do another submit.prevent, and then it will be update artist. Do you see all these CRUD like operations? That's literally what we're doing right here. So it's just basic stuff you do normally on a server based app like Rails, but in the sense of doing it all with Axios. So let's do some styles here. MVP4, G white, rounded. I'm just creating a new form. That will be an update form. Inside that div, we'll have an input of, I mean, you can call it type if you want, it doesn't really matter. Class equals input, and then we'll have a vModel of artist.name. and then another submit button. Class, you can just call it value is update. Class will be quite a few, sorry in advance. So in a big app, I would extract all this stuff and put it in their own componentized class, but for this sake, I just kind of went with the flow. So don't think I would sit there and write that many classes every time I wanted to define a button component. That'd make you tear your hair out for sure. Okay, now comes the method of basically the CRUD concept of our artist. So we need to add a script tag and export default as an object. Call this name artist and pass in a data, return data. Then we need artist as an array, and this allows us to loop through given artists that come back, which we will get on our created method. You'll see that in a second, but essentially you need an array to do a v-for, and that's where we're going to get it. But we also need an array for new artist, because we'll pass in artist name and I think ID. Errors, of course. That should be error. And edited artist will be an empty string. Okay, so there we comma separate, and we need created. And this will do, again, when the component mounts, this will be what happens first. So we'll say if basically check if the user signed in. So local storage, signed in. So if you're not signed in, then we'll take you back to the login path, which is the root path. Okay, else we'll go and get the artist data. So that'll look like this: HTTP secured.get. And remember our API namespace? We need that now. So we need the /v1 artists. Then we need to indent this, or then, excuse me, response. As an object, we can return this.artist is equal to artists or response.data. So what this says is it's grabbing this array and appending the data to it, so we're able to loop through it when it mounts, or basically created. And then, of course, catch errors. We'll set this method again, set error. I'll probably steal this from another file, maybe. Something went wrong. Okay. So why don't I do that? I'm going to grab this. Set error. So we've got that. That actually needs to be on methods. Okay. Then below that we'll have add artist. So this is on the main initial form at the top. Right here, we're going to have when the form is submitted, we'll call that. You could also do that on the button if you wanted, so at click, but since it's a form, it makes sense to do that on the submit. So we need to get the value and store it. So we'll say this.newArtist, which, as you can see right here. Then we could say if the value doesn't exist, return else, not really else, but just do this .http .posts or secured. See these? Basically, it's like scoping in Rails. If you've ever done that, I need to do a video about scopes, but it's essentially a quick shorthand way of querying data in a certain way. So we're doing that with Axios on the JavaScript side, but it's about sessions and whatnot. So it's kind of a different concept. So here we're going to pass in an artist object, and within that, an array of this .new artist .name. So that's what Rails expects. And then we can do our then response. This .artist .push response .data. So this will actually update our view in our loop there. So we're doing two things. We're pushing data to the database, and then the database we're pulling from basically in our view, we're updating our view, but once the data, say you refresh the page, it'll come back still because we're getting that data from the database. So it's kind of two-sided. And we'll say this .new artist, clear out that form, and then catch error, this .set error, pass in error, and then cannot create artist. Okay, so basic CRUD, so we've added, now we want to remove, so remove artist. All right, so to remove, we actually need to pass in the artist. So if you remember from the template, we were actually passing that through on the removal function. So to do that, we need to actually go and do a delete request instead of post. We're gonna go to the same path, but we're gonna actually pass in a backtick instead of quotes here, and we'll pass in a variable like so. With ES6, you can do this stuff, so it's kind of nice. .id. So we need the ID of the actual artist, and that's essentially it. We don't need to actually do anything like this. Let me double check. That's all I need. Yeah, and then we'll have a then response again. This .artist, you can do splice. This .artist index of artist, and then 1. It's basically just taking out the most recent one, and then catch cool. All right, so that's remove. Edit. Edit's pretty simple. So we're just going to basically toggle the instance of that form that we created, that v-if up here. This thing here, this dot edited artist is equal to artist. So if that matches as we ask here, then good to go. And then within that, we'll call the update. And we need the artist again. So this dot edited artist will clear out. And then we'll do a patch request, which is basically like a put. Or no, it's actually a patch request. So it's basically updating record. And we'll do backticks again because we need the ID of the user or the record itself or artist. .v1.artist, and then we'll pass in the variable artist.id. Make sure the backticks ended. This one we actually need to pass through the object itself. So we'll have artist and then another title equals artist.name. Cool. And then we could do just a catch on that one. So I don't really expect a response. This dot set error, again, error cannot update artist. So long-winded, sorry, but that's essentially it. We want to make sure Vue doesn't yell at us for our syntax and indentation. It probably is. Oh, it's compiled. Cool. So I'm going to go and complete all of our components, and then we'll actually log in and see what's what. I know that's backwards. I should probably be checking that already, but I just want to get this stuff set up so I know I'm in a good place to go forward. Creating a record is very similar to what we did for the artists. I'm going to do that in the next video. Components are pretty large, so sorry if it's taking forever, but I just want to be thorough. So I'll see you in the next video. Hello Rails is my new course on Ruby on Rails. I'll teach you Ruby on Rails from the ground up. Visit hellorails.io for more information.